The next step will be to sew the two dress pieces together. So you will need to take your main piece, make sure it is right sides facing. That will mean it is inside out and the wrong side is facing you, both sides. Then you will need to take your lining piece or your reverse fabric pieces, the dress, and you will need to turn that the right way out, so the wrong sides are facing each other and the right side is facing you. Take that lining and just slip it inside your main. You will need to line up the dress like so and start pinning it together. Pin all the way around and be generous with your pinning. I like to line up my sides first, so I've got my side pieces pinned, and then I'll carry on and pin the rest of the dress together. So you should have pinned all the way around your dress now, nice and securely, and we will now sew our two pieces together. Again, keep to the 1/4 inch seam allowance and stay stitch your first and last stitches. Now when you get to the curved straps, it is best to take it slow so you get those curves nice and neat. Or it's also useful just to lift your foot up and place it down again so you can come around that curve neatly. I'm carefully moving the dress as I'm sewing so that I don't accidentally stitch two sides of the dress together. Unpicking is an unpleasant job, often a sometimes unavoidable one, but if you can avoid it, do avoid it. Just removing some of the pins as I go. And then I've reached the end, so I'm just going to stay stitch. Then I'm going to remove all my pins. bits from my dress. You can remove as you go. Sometimes I find it easier just to do it all at once at the end. And you may pin however you wish, but I like to pin on a horizontal angle as opposed to a vertical angle, because it means that I can sew over my pins without snapping my needle on my sewing machine, and it just saves a little bit of time to do it that way. So once we have removed all our pins, we will just need to trim our seam allowances right back to about 1/8. Now you can use regular fabric scissors, or I'm actually going to use pinking shears to trim mine. Obviously be careful not to cut your freshly sewn seams. It's important to trim back the allowance or clip the curves of your garment, otherwise it tends to pucker when you pull it the right way through. Once it is all trimmed, we will need to turn the right way and press our dress. So there we have it. We have trimmed our allowance, and now we will pull the correct way through. I find a chopstick is useful for turning garments, especially ones with fiddly ends or straps to turn. It just helps push out those edges neatly so we don't accidentally press some of the dress in later. And then the front piece. Now our dress is together. And now we're just going to press our dress, and then we will top stitch what we have just sewn. So we take our dress and we just press what we've just sewn make sure you press right the way round. Those seams sitting nice and flat. Do be careful around your iron, as irons can burn and steam can also burn. Right, so now your dress is pressed and it is now ready for top stitching. We will need to now top stitch our dress, and we're going to top stitch from our main side with our reverse or lining side underneath. Because I have two quite different colour fabrics, I am coordinating my thread, because whatever thread you sew with, you are going to see with your top stitching. And you can contrast your threads, but I'm going to match. So I've got my pale thread for underneath, and I've got my blue thread for the top, the main top stitching. Now for your top stitching, set your stitch length at a bit longer than you'd usually sew with. So on my machine I would set it to about 3 or 3.5, as it just provides a bit more of a professional finish if your top stitching is that little bit longer. Now when you are top stitching, top stitch approximately 1/8 away from the edge. You want it to sit nice and close to the edge of your dress, but obviously you do not want to stray off the edge. Take your time top stitching, as it will be seen, and we do want it to be neat. Again, especially around those corners, just lift up your foot to curve around. And again, I'm just pulling the dress out of the way as I sew, so I do not sew it together. And I'm just going to finish by stay stitching. And there you should see that you've top stitched your dress and it is ready for the next step.